Hi, Mitch with Inngest. If you're building AI agents in production, you probably have realized pretty quickly how hard it is to evaluate their outputs or how expensive and complex it can be to set up your own systems. Recently, we've launched Agent Evaluations, which is a suite of features to help you solve this problem. So let's take a look at our example app and I'll show you exactly how this works. So our example app here is an ingest workflow in the form of a research agent. So this research agent has quite a few different steps. Each of them is gathering data from different API calls, and like any good durable solution, if one of these fails, it can retry. It doesn't have to start over from the beginning. So this pattern is well established, but what we've added to this is experimentation. So with experimentation, with just a few lines of code in this example, we can test the output of using GPT versus Opus on the same experiment. We're running the same function here. In this case, we're going to run it in a 50-50 weighted split. We have a weighted primitive. You could also use this for canary builds, or you could even route traffic based off of metadata like a user or an account ID. As you can imagine, this experiment's not going to be very useful if we can't measure the output, which brings us to our next feature, which is scoring. So scoring is another simple primitive that we have added to the SDK, where you can create a scorer function. This scorer function can be pretty much anything. LLM-as-a-judge is something that you could use if you wanted to. That can get expensive, but it is something you could build right into here, inside of this wrapper. So in this example, we have scoring based on research human feedback, research quality, and research cost. But again, it could be any score that you want to use for your evaluations. The real interesting one here, though, is the research human feedback. So if we go back over to our code example here, and we go down to the bottom, we see that we have this score wrapped in a defer function. So if you can imagine that you have an AI agent that produces a summary or produces an auto research project, and let's say for whatever reason, the user that requested it doesn't actually read it for a month, an hour, a day, whatever. With this defer function, we can queue up this job in Inngest, and when the user finally does provide the feedback, that function will then run, but it is tied back to the original run that created it. So what that looks like is our example here on our UI is a box that the user could either select good or bad if that research was good. So when I click good, it's going to finally run that queued up defer function that may have happened who knows how long ago, and it is going to run that function, run the code inside of it, and add to our research human feedback score. So what that allows us to do is capture human signal, capture some kind of outside signal. Again, you just define it in your code, and we can evaluate based on a mix of things. So in this case, evaluate on human feedback, evaluate on research quality, which could be an LLM-as-a-judge example, evaluate on cost, which is a hard algorithmic value, and all three of those scores can live together. We're really excited about our agent evaluation system, and we'd love for you to try it and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.